Doctor, welcome to the podcast. Dr. Ritu Saluja-Sharma is a double board certified emergency medicine and lifestyle medicine physician who spent 20 years in the ER treating preventable disease, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, only to realize that the real crisis wasn't happening at the hospital. It was happening in America's kitchens. Frustrated by watching families arrive at the ER with conditions that could have been prevented years earlier, she left the traditional medicine and built a new model focused on prevention through education. Today, she is the founder of Head, Heart, Hands, a nutrition and lifestyle wellness program used by schools, corporations, and community organizations, and the author of The Wonder of What We Eat, a science meets healthy living book series. Her newest release, The Wonder of What We Eat cookbook, makes nutrition science accessible and actionable to families looking to build lifelong healthy habits. Her mission is simple: give families the nutrition education she wishes every patient had before they even landed in the ER. So, doctor, first and foremost, I kind of want to just dive right into it because the preemptive model over the reactive model is really just, you really are taking a bird's eye view at the problem here, because the system is designed to say, hey, we have a problem, now let's fix it. And even the kind of fixing isn't like we're fixing you, we're kind of like keeping your heartbeat going until we see you again in a week. And, it's kind of like it's focused on making money first and then, keeping you someone happy for a little bit of time. And I think I actually just mentioned this earlier, but I think the problem is, how we're inculcated as children. It's almost this like false sense of security where we think we're eating healthy, but our diets are just completely surrounded by sugar. I mean, we give kids cereal, right? That's what we're supposed to do. And we don't even realize that. It's just like, oh, we're having yogurt. We're eating healthy today. We're having yogurt. Right? That yogurt has 40 grams of sugar.
Yep.
So I think the problem is not even just there. It's just like another degree of freedom deeper. It's that we think we're eating healthy and we're not even on the right track. So I actually love your model and I can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of problems. So our food system is completely setting us up to fail. And our healthcare system is also, unfortunately, focused on disease management, not disease prevention and reversal. And it's not, I'm a physician. I still, I've been practicing as an ER doctor for 20 years. So I'm not anti-physician at all. Like I prescribe medicine. I'm not anti-medicine, but I do think that if it's possible to help people prevent and reverse disease and not need medication, then that would be the ultimate goal, right? And unfortunately, our system is not really built for that to happen. And so most of what we practice is disease management.
Right. And even like, even not even to go after the whole health system, I think it's human nature to not worry too much about things before they happen and worry about them after they happen. But I mean, I'm sure, as you know, worrying about something before requires radically less energy than worrying about it after.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
But,
so go ahead.
but what I was going to say is it's not even, I went into this whole field to help people stay out of the ER and to help them reverse their type 2 diabetes and lower their blood pressure and lower their cholesterol. But in reality, it's so much more than that, because when people start making positive lifestyle changes, it actually makes an immediate effect on how they feel right then. So many people have symptoms and they don't feel well. They may be in pain. They may be exhausted. They, may just like not feel well and not know why. So I feel like more than just helping people bring down their blood pressure and cholesterol and stay out of the ER, the main motivator, I think, that keeps people going is when they feel better. Because I agree
Right.
with you, like making changes just because of the theoretical of like, oh, I don't want to have a heart attack one day. That's kind of hard. But actually, if you are making changes and you feel completely different and you have more energy and your life is better, then that's sustainable.
What you're saying isn't rocket science. It's common sense. And if you were to like put people as smart as yourself in a room and ask them to come up with a plan, a lot of them would come up with a plan a lot more similar to yours than the status quo. Why are we here?
Oh gosh. Well, I've asked that question a lot myself. And honestly, again, as a physician, I think most physicians, including me, in the emergency room, like we want to do the best for our patients. We care. We don't want to just manage disease. We want to do more, but it's so limited. So, in our healthcare system, we have, most patients have like 15 minutes with their doctor once, twice a
Yeah.
year. And in that time, that's really just not enough time to help people prevent and reverse disease. I mean, my program, I spend hours with people and there's hours of learning and there's hours of coaching and there's tools. Like there's so many layers in order to help people really make the lifestyle changes they need in order to reverse their type 2 diabetes or prevent type 2 diabetes if it's in their family, right? So
Yeah.
there's so many layers and unfortunately the system is not set up for us to have enough time with patients that we can do that. Even the physicians that really care and want to, it's just really difficult.
Yeah, but once you're in the hospital and once you're in the ER, that's not the doctor's job. The doctor's job is to save lives. The
Yeah.
doctor's job is to deal with issues that are right now, right? So I think it's more of like an education issue,
Yeah.
right? It's more of like, that's, you're speaking to the wrong person about your problem. You're going to mechanic and you're asking him how to cook something better, right? So I think it's more of like the parent's job and it's more of an education issue to put values in things. Like just like you invest in your child 20 years before so that, they go to school at a young age and they're ready to have, to be competitive in this economic landscape. It should be the same thing. And with your health, right? And here's the thing, right? I have a question for you. I eat like I'm diabetic. I don't eat processed sugar. I literally go when I go to like Publix and the supermarket and I ask them like, "Where's the diabetic section?" And they go, "Hey, are you diabetic?" I go, "No, I'm not. I just act like I am."
Mhm.
I fast 18 to 20 hours a day. I literally prick myself and check my blood sugar levels all the time, and it's because once you have diabetes, it's like it's just an uphill battle just to keep afloat, and you have terminal illness knocking at your doorstep. People think I'm crazy when I tell them I do this. People think I'm crazy when I say I have a religion that I cut out processed sugar out of my lifestyle,
Mhm.
and I'm aggressive about it. Why is that such a foreign thought, and why am I such a like out of the box kind of person for doing something that just seems so obvious?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, our system does not make it easy to do that. And so I think that that's one of the big barriers why, a lot of people don't follow that lifestyle. And then your point about teaching this to your kids and your families, well, what if you were never taught? Right? Like what if as an adult, as a grown-up, you were never taught about nutrition because most of us weren't. Most of us were not taught about this and most of us, the way that we eat and our lifestyle factors, all of, the way that we live is similar to the way that we grew up. And it's really hard to change that. And so that's kind of why why I'm doing what I'm doing because I think I agree with you that knowledge is power and applied knowledge is even more powerful, right? So you can know something, but then you taking the next step to apply it, that's actually where the life change happens. And it's very hard for people to do that because our food system doesn't make it easy. Even our dietary guidelines don't make it easy. In the 80s and 90s, we were told to be eating mostly carbohydrates and to eat no fat and now we've swung the other way and for many people they don't eat carbs at all and and so it's like confusing what actually is healthy, what should I be eating? And
Yeah,
then and so it's our diet culture too. Our diet culture is really setting us up to fail. So for many people, they want to do better. They try to do better, but dieting and deprivation are really not sustainable for people. And so, I think willpower, and especially if you're talking about processed food, right? Processed food and sugar, it's designed, our ultra processed food is designed for people to be addicted to it, and sugar is super addictive. So, I mean, all of these things make it very, very
Yeah.
difficult. So, I don't think you're crazy. I think it's just hard. It's really hard for a lot of people. And so that's why I think it just requires help. And most
Yeah.
people are not getting that help from our healthcare system.
When someone tells me what you're doing is so hard, how do you do it? I actually think it's the much easier path.
Hmm.
What's way harder is living your life with diabetes and having vision problems and having to prick yourself every day and just having terminal illnesses knock at your door. That to me sounds way, way harder than this.
Yeah.
And, you know, you built a wellness program and book series. And to me, it doesn't seem like that's a next step of you in the system. It sounds like you're completely on just the untraveled path. And my question to you is just like, why didn't you just stick to what worked? Like what seemed to have worked and to like what paid the best and what made the most sense and where all the just you just were naturally pushed in a certain direction like
Yeah.
everyone else. What was there like an epiphany or was there like a special moment that you realized, hey, it's time to do a 180 here?
Yeah. So, I mean, throughout my career, every shift all day long, I would see patients that were suffering with conditions that were preventable and reversible. And it bothered me. And it was something that
Mm,
I knew that there was more that I wanted to do, but I didn't know what it was. And I wanted to do something that was evidence-based, and that was real science. And I feel like there's a lot of wellness out there that's not based in science, right? So, about 5 years ago, I got a second board certification in something called lifestyle medicine. And so lifestyle medicine focuses on disease prevention and reversal. And it was really, I started learning about this and taking this coursework honestly because I wasn't feeling well. I knew that there was more. I wasn't feeling my best, and I started to kind of look deeper, like, what can I do? And when I started learning all of this, it really changed my life, and I
mm,
changed many things about the way that I lived, the way that I ate, the way that I slept, the way that I managed my stress. Like, I changed so many things in my life, and it changed my life. And so when I started making these changes, I was like, "Oh my gosh, if I don't know this, and this knowledge has been life-changing for me, I know most of my patients don't know this and don't have this help." And so it was a little crazy because honestly, like exactly what you're saying, I was just working and in a comfortable job. But it inspired me so deeply that I really felt that I needed to give my patients this help. And so I got the second board certification, and then I started actually working with individuals, with adults, helping them lower their blood pressure and lower their cholesterol and reverse type 2 diabetes and those types of things, and help them lose weight. But in a way that wasn't dieting and deprivation and feeling bad about themselves. But I soon realized that honestly, that model, our healthcare system really doesn't allow for most people to access that type of help because it's not covered. It's not covered by insurance. And so I was only reaching a small demographic of people. And then I would go to the ER, and because I was still working in the ER, and I would go to the ER, and all of my patients needed this help, like everyone. And so that's when I expanded what I was doing, and I started doing corporate wellness because my thought was, if I can go to companies and help their employees feel better and prevent and reverse disease, that's going to be a win-win because it's going to help the companies. They all want healthier and happier employees and lower healthcare spending, and it'll help the employees. And I'll be able to reach these people that I wouldn't typically be able to reach. So the first company that I worked with was a construction company. And then I worked with an IT company, and I worked with an association, because every company, no matter what they do, like everyone needs this help. Like billions of people in this world need
Yeah.
this type of help. And then for the last couple years, I've been working with a couple large school systems, so helping teachers and principals and office staff and just a lot. The anyone who works in the school systems can do my program, and it's been life changing for people. For
Yeah.
so many people, it's like absolutely, change the way that they feel with their quality of life and their pain and their energy, but then also like their weight and their blood pressure and their cholesterol and like all of those things. And so, but then many of those people, they started to ask me like, well, why am I just getting this help now? Why am I 50 years old and now this is the first time I've ever learned about food in this way and my body in
Crazy.
this way? And so, and then many of the principals and the teachers, they ask like, do you have something for kids? Like kids need this help too. And that's when I decided to write my children's book series because I was actually asked by a teacher if I could speak in her classroom. And I started looking at some of the resources available for kids. And, I was talking to the adults about things like insulin resistance and chronic inflammation and gut health and type 2 diabetes. And I'm like, I know I don't want to talk to kids about that. So what can I talk about? So I started looking at books and I realized that what was out there was really not the way that I would teach kids, because what I was teaching adults, which I think is so life changing, is nutrition science, but also changing people's mindset about food and their health and what they're capable of. And that I didn't see in any books. And so then that's why I decided to do what I'm doing now, which is I wrote this children's book series. So I think like none of this progression in my career was anything that I could have ever imagined. It was all just fueled by passion. Just
Mm,
like seeing a need, feeling like I had a solution that I know that can help people, and that's just what has gotten me to where I am now.
yeah. I feel like it's an easier case to make in the corporate world than it is with children. But you're so right. What's the point of feeling successful and motivated in life and building wealth and just achieving happiness when you're overweight and you don't feel good and you're sick? Like, what's the point of all of it? It doesn't make sense. These things work directly hand in hand, and the discipline you need to build a successful future and to make it up, and to climb your corporate, ladder and find success and financial happiness is the same discipline you need to going to the gym, waking up early, taking care of yourself, learning how to control what you put in your body. And there's a saying that really resonates with me. It's good health is a crown that the healthy wear, but only the sick can see.
Oh, yeah.
And that hits me deep because, we're so lucky that we're alive, we're healthy, and we have all these problems that consume us that are frivolous and trivial.
Hmm.
And it's like we're designed to worry about something. And then you get a real health issue
Yeah,
and you can't go from A to B. You literally just can't move. And every problem in your world disappears. And
absolutely.
this is the only problem you have to worry about. And all that money you were trying to make, everything you've spent 50, 60 years building, you'd give that up in a second to get your health back. Literally. And if you
Absolutely.
don't believe me, go to an old age home, go to a home with people, or go to your ER, go to a place where people are suffering and ask them what they'd give up to be able to walk again or just to live a normal life. And they would tell you they'd give up everything.
Yeah.
So the preventative narrative is an important one, but it's also one that's a little harder to appreciate. And I feel like people who are older might have an easier time appreciating that. But a kid who's young and sees the world ahead of them and doesn't really understand that there's a difference between this kind of sugar and that kind of sugar, they might not really get it. So I feel like that's a very tough job to advocate for. And unfortunately, like, yeah, insurance, the whole Medicare system is designed around a reactive system because that's
Yeah.
where the monetary incentive is. So it's like you against the world to some extent, which is, truly fascinating to see someone take this approach. But I do wonder because it's, this problem is found all over the world, but it's a little more exaggerated here in the United States, I would
Yeah.
say. And if you grew up your whole life in the United States, it's a little harder to see it. But if you've lived abroad, or if you grew up abroad, or you spent time in a different country, you do have a better frame of reference. And I wonder, like, why in America is the sugar culture so up, deeply ingrained in how it is? Is it something with World War II? Was it something like, because like I feel like this has been going on this is like a very slow creep into the mentality and culture of the United States. And I wonder why that is.
I mean, I think it's just our food industry. I mean, everything boils down to money, and our food industry, is really this is how they make money, and there's not a lot of control over this. I mean, I think that's just it's all about profits, and
Is it really just that? Like,
I
that's
mean, I
crazy.
think that
I mean,
that's what I think
alcohol.
it is. I think it's just all about profits, and sadly, the food industry does not care about our health, and our diet culture is failing us, and so really we have to save ourselves, because at this
Yeah.
point our food industry is really making us sick.
And
and
can I be
and
honest? Why should they care?
yeah,
Why should they care about you more than you should care about you? Right? We tend to like think like there's these like bad actors pulling the strings. Perhaps there is, perhaps there isn't. That's not the point. Like you have your own freedom to worry about yourself.
yeah.
Why do I need someone else to care about me?
Yeah, it gets really it's interesting if you think about it. I mean, there's a lot of different sides here, um but yeah, I mean, I think that that's why it's so important to advocate for yourself, and that's why I think it's important to teach your kids, because going back to what you said at the beginning, like teaching your kids, because no one otherwise, how are they going to learn? And going back to what you said about it's harder for kids, the idea is not to scare kids and teach kids, oh, if you eat this stuff, these terrible things are going to happen to you. That's not it at all. The idea is just to empower kids with some understanding and knowledge. And so, just basic nutrition knowledge, and then also creating a very positive foundation on how we see food. So in our diet culture, the way that we talk about food and think about food, we talk about, we eat food and then you have to burn it off, because otherwise you're going to gain weight. And everything has to do with numbers on a scale, how much you weigh, not really talking about your energy and how you feel. So if we concentrate not on food is just calories or carbs, something that's going to make us gain weight, and we really talk about food and teach what food actually is and how we can use food to empower ourselves to feel our best, then that's a completely different message.
Hmm.
And for many of the adults who've gone through my program, I think learning about type 2 diabetes and learning how to lower their blood pressure and learning about insulin resistance, that's huge. But changing their mindset about food and no longer feeling like they're dieting or depriving themselves, and feeling empowered to use food to feel their best, that is actually what changes
Hmm.
lives. And so I think if you can teach that to kids. And the way that I've tried to do that in my book series is I have a book, a workbook, and a cookbook. And it follows the same model as my adult wellness programs. It's head, heart, hands. So head is learning about nutrition and mindset. So creating a positive mindset on how you see food in your bodies. And then the heart is reinforcing what you learned and creating real life skills. So learning how to read labels, learning the how to pick a snack, learning how to um, recognize those tricky marketing strategies by the food industry, and actually seeing like what is actually healthy, being able to
Hmm.
tell that for yourself. And then the hands is the tools, and that's the recipes, and that's a cookbook, and really giving families and kids the tools to then use all what they have learned in the kitchen to make healthy food that they all can feel good about, and that can be a shared experience. And so I think if we start thinking about food in a positive way, and then we create these positive positive foundation, and then we create meals together as a family and build health together, that is actually what ends up changing lives. And that is what can help your kid go from childhood to adulthood with a better mindset about food, and they'll make better choices. And that's actually, I think, what the goal should be, not to scare kids, not to talk about what's bad, what's good, but just to instill those values and then to create those healthy habits and create those tastes that they're used to these foods. And so I think that is what we should try and do with our kids. And when we do that, I think that can be really, change the trajectory of their entire health and their life.
Words of wisdom, and it's an honest pleasure talking to you. Ritu, how could people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm on social media. So I'm Head Heart Hands MD on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, and then I have a website, headhearthandsmd.com. You can click on that to buy my books. My books are on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. My book series, it's called The Wonder of What We Eat. And then there's the book, there's the workbook, and there's the cookbook. It's a 3-part series. And then if you're interested in learning more about my adult programs, my corporate programs, you can go to my website. You can email me, headhearthandsmd@gmail.com.
Ritu, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for your time and wisdom.
Thank you so much.